Hello Reborners, my name is Karen and this is Making Reborn Dolls with Karen. We're back with Gabriel. He looks like this now. He's had one round of some enhancements or undertones, and we're going to get back out working on him and get his undertones a little bit more pronounced, I guess you'd call it, so we can get on to putting some layers on him. He's still a slightly lopsided. He'll come around though. They usually do. They're just a little bit, sometimes heating makes them slightly lopsided, but they usually come around during baking, so we won't worry about that. Anyway, in this round, we're going to be doing a little enhancing on his arms and legs, hands and feet, fingers and toes, things like that, and a little more on his face. So we're going to get right started, and we're going to start blushing him up a bit on his face. His face is blushed, but this will fade completely away by paint being over it. So we want it a little darker because we really can't see that. It's not going to show and we won't be happy with it. So we're just going to bump it up a notch or two. And after a bake, you can do it easily. It doesn't mess with what you already did. It just puts a little more there. If you're not happy with the way his nose looks, you can put more there. Just wherever you feel like he needs a little more, you just put it there. And I'm using a very big brush this time, so maybe it has a little more paint in it. Let me get me a sponge here. We want to pounce this nice and good because we want to smooth it out and feather it out a little on the edges. We want it dark, but we don't want it to be super dark. We just want it a little more natural looking. We can also use our kabuki. The kabuki will feather these edges real good. You just sort of rub them a little bit, kind of softly, and just rub it around a little bit until it's done. And we're doing this very softly. If you rub hard, you're going to take most of it off. And that's not what we're looking for. We're looking to just smooth it where the edges don't look so harsh. See, it looks like a hard stop. It's real red, then it's like nothing. So we're just going to sort of smooth it, and it's going to smooth out those edges a little bit and make it a little less, I don't know, a little less like that. See, it's already better. See, it's smoothing out, and it's getting lighter and lighter and lighter as you go over toward his ear. And then we're going to smooth it up a little and down a little. All sides, we're just going to smooth it a little. And that's going to just feather it out a little more. That's what we want, to soften the edges. I just still think he needs a little more on his forehead. I'm just not happy with it. Oh, that's much better. Might want that instead. He doesn't have near enough stuffing in his head. I need to stuff some more stuff in his head. Maybe that's why he's so lopsided. When you're pouncing on him, he's just sinking in too much. You can't get a good pounce. And that's the whole purpose of this layer of color on his face, is just to make it darker, because it just wasn't dark enough. I just didn't like it. I want it to be bold enough, just bold enough to where it's going to make it through all the bakes with all the different layers of paint on top of it. We're going to put a little more on his eyes, a little more on his chin. We don't want any really, really hard differences, you know, striking opposites on his face, like really dark and really light. We want it somewhere in between. Now, I'm going to do something else because that's about all we're going to do to his face other than his lips again. So I'm going to apply him a little bit of eyebrows. I like to do them early as well. And I don't want that color. I'm looking for my lightest hair color, which is sandbar brown. There it is. I think that's it. Yes. I put very light eyebrows. I don't like those really dark ones. I don't care what color hair he's having. this is the color I use. Now, unless I was going to give him red hair, maybe, but I can't find any red hair that's decent. Okay, here we go. We're going to try to identify where his brow ridge is. If you look at their face, you can see the little, just like on your face, you can see the little protrusion where his brow ridge is. You know the eyebrows are either slightly above that or right on it. That's your choice. I go a little bit above it, just slightly above it, because you don't want the eyebrows to be too close to the eyes. And I just put little wispy eyebrows like that. I don't do those big, thick eyebrows where you put one hair that look like mine. No, creepy looking. And I just put these little wispy eyebrows. And if you're following the brow ridge, you can usually make 2 identical eyebrows. Now, a lot of people are going to say, you know, I can't get the second eyebrow right. That's because you're right-handed or you're left-handed. And one of them will be easier than the other one. But if you're following the brow ridge, you can actually make 2 pretty good eyelashes. And I think that's pretty good. They're wispy and small and light colored, which is what I want. I don't want scary eyebrows. A lot of the eyebrows I see people make are actually kind of scary looking. They're just a little bit too bold or a little bit too dark or something. Too big, maybe, in the wrong place. That, you know, they just look funny. So I'd rather have little tiny wispy eyebrows like these than those scary ones. I don't know. But that's pretty much got his face. I might put a little more on his cheeks, but I'm going to let him sit for a minute first and let that dry a bit, because putting wet on wet, even though this isn't really all that wet, I'm still using the dry brushing. I'm going to put him over here, and we're going to start working on his hands. Now, he has baked, and you can still see the little lines. See, you see all those lines where I highlighted his hands and did his creases. We can still see them. Now, there's a multitude of different ways you can enhance the hands. Some people paint the entire hand slightly pinkish. Some people just do the fingers. Some people just do the tips of the fingers. Some people do different little sections of the finger. It's all different. It's just a preference is what it is. You just need to look at some pictures of babies' hands and see the different ways that they look highlighted and pick one you like. That's pretty much all there is to it. So what I usually do, because it's the easiest, I really like the little sections done, but it's very, very hard to achieve. So I just paint the fingers. I just paint the fingers a little bit blushy looking. Now this is going to look a lot blushy, but like I said, everything gets lighter when you bake. And not only that, we're going to dab it, so it's not going to be all that dark. So now if you're going to do the fronts and the backs of the fingers, you're going to need to remember to do the sides of the fingers as well. Because just doing the front and then turning over and doing the back, you won't get the sides. They'll be white looking, and they'll look weird. These are common areas, the ones that I mentioned. Be sure you get this, like the backs of the ears and stuff. They're common places that people miss when they're painting their doll, because they're not thinking about it. They're just painting, and they're new at painting, so they don't realize until they're done and they look at their finished product and they go, well, that looks weird, you know. So I'm just reminding you, because it is a common place that people forget to paint. And I don't know. I just noticed at times that I had forgotten some areas, and wished that I had remembered them later, but of course it was too late. By the time you're finished with the doll, it's a little late to go back and try to get the fingers. It just doesn't work the same. There's an actual order that things need to be done in my opinion. This is my opinion. And if you do them out of order, let's say for example, you didn't paint the fingers on one hand, but you did on the other hand. And then you went on and started doing other things to the hands. And then you said, oops, I better go back and get that hand and paint the fingers. That one would look different than this one, because you painted the fingers at a different stage. So, long story short, in my opinion, there is a logical order that you paint your doll in. Now, it's not set in stone. You can do it any way you want. But if you do one way, you have to do it all that way. That's how the fingers are going to look. They won't be quite that dark when they bake, but they're going to be pinkish like that. I may have a hand behind me that's finished that you can see the way it looks at the end. Yes, I do. I have Jackson's hand. Now his fingers are bent down, but this is how it looks at the end when you're finished. It's very cute, I think, to have the fingers a little bit darker than the rest of the hand. And now we're going to do this one, which is going to be a little bit harder because the hand is closed. But it's not hard. You just still do the same thing. Any part that looks like it's supposed to be the finger, that's what you paint. On the sides, the front, the back, the whole thing. And if you're having trouble getting some spots on the finger because your paintbrush is too big, that's why I have different sizes. I actually buy cheaper brushes than most people buy because I want to have brushes for each color. I don't wash my brushes at all because I dip them and put them up to dry. And I want them to be ready for me to do this technique where I don't have to use paint to do it because the brush is full of paint. And if you wash your brushes out, well, you can't do this. So I just never wash them. And so each color that I use has its own brushes. So I buy cheaper brushes than most people buy. Most people buy those real expensive sets that you can get from doll making companies. Dolls by Sandy has an awesome set, but it's over $200. Now, there's a lot of brushes in that set, but when I looked at the set, I noticed that there were brushes in there I just really didn't think I would use. I mean, I really studied it because I was considering buying it. I just looked it over real good, and I decided, you know what? This is a nice set of brushes. Very, very nice. But $200? Oh, my goodness. And I don't know exactly what the quality of them is because I never had them. I started getting these brushes when I was a brand new artist. These very brushes, not these actual brushes, but this kind. Because, you know, over the years you have to replace your brushes. But I started getting these brushes because they were readily available at Walmart. And I just needed some brushes. And these look like a good set. The 15 of them came in the set, and they were about $6 or $7. I don't remember. They were cheap. But over the years, they quit having them. So I had to look for them elsewhere. So anyway, you get 15 brushes for the price. And they're about $8 to $12, depending on where you get them. So that's how that hand's going to look. And now we're going to move on to the feet. But the whole reason I got them was because I wanted, like I said, I wanted to have brushes for every color. And so I just bought a bunch of sets of them because they're hard to find. Okay, on the feet, we're going to do something a little different. We're going to put a little bit of blue right here where the arch of the foot is. I'm going to try to find a brush up here in my blue brushes that has some paint in it still. And that's not going to be one of them. That one doesn't have any. I've used these on a couple other dolls and didn't re-dip them. So we may not get much blue on his foot. Look how cute that foot is with that crease, and it's just so cute. Well, that one doesn't have any either. Let me get another one. One of these brushes has to have some paint in it. This one has a little. It's actually starting to get a little blue now. What we want to do is put a little bit of blue on the bottom of the foot. Where's the one with the blue on it? There it is. You may or may not can see that. I don't know. Usually blue isn't, you know, enhancements are very hard to see on camera. Okay, we're going to do this one the same way. I'm not getting much blue out of this brush, so I have to just keep on rubbing. They're going to have to be re-dipped for sure. Okay, there's that one. Also blue in the arch. Now we're going to take our paintbrush and we're going to paint the rest of the bottom of the foot, and we're going to avoid that blue area. We're going to paint the rest of it red. The bottoms of the toes, in that little crack between the toes and where the foot starts. Make sure you get in there. And all around the sole of the foot. We're just going to avoid that little area that we painted blue. And the rest of it we're going to paint kind of pink. We're going to dab that so it's not harsh. And it's going to look a little bit like that. Oh, and then before I put this foot down and start working on the other foot, we're also going to paint the tops of the toes. Just the tops of the toes. We're not painting the whole top of the foot. So since we're painting the top and the bottom of the toes, we have to remember to get the sides of the toes as well. Just like that. And we have some pink little baby toes. Very cute, I think. Dab it a little bit, put it down. We're going to do this one now. Same thing. We're going to just go all around the foot on the bottom and try to miss that blue area. If you get a little on it, it won't hurt. But sometimes different colors can neutralize each other. I don't think red and blue do, but like I think for blue it's yellow. I'm not sure what color exactly. And for red, I don't know. Green maybe. But sometimes they clash a little bit, so. And you might not see the blue anymore, or it might look purple because red and blue do make purple. And so we want to avoid that area. Get these toes. I'm going to try to get the entire toe without getting the foot. Now, like I said, some people do paint the whole foot. That's a choice. You have to pick what you want to do. I like it better when just the toes are done. I've done many dolls with the foot, many dolls with the toes, many dolls with just portions of the toes. I've done tips. I've done it all, pretty much all ways. And I like this way. It's easier, for one thing. And it looks good. There we go. Look at that. It's so cute. Yeah, that's all we're doing to the hands and the feet. I'm going to go back to the head now. It should be drier. Yes, it's very dry. Okay, and we're going to put a little more on his cheeks. I'm just not satisfied yet. Let me get another brush. These brushes run out of paint really, really quick, and they have to be re-dipped. Just a little more on his cheeks. Just a bit. Because he's just not quite there yet. That's going to do it, I think. We just want to see a little more color because, like I said, everything gets lighter when you bake. Plus, on top of that, we're going to be putting paint. So we want it to show through. This is supposed to be an undertone, so it is supposed to show, but it's supposed to show underneath the other paint. But it has to be dark enough to show through, and that's going to do it, I think. He's looking real good, I think. Now I'm going to do his lips and his nails again, and then he'll be ready to go back in the oven for another bake. Sit up there, fella. Okay, here we go. Now we're going to do another really light layer like we did the other one. So you can see it on his lips. You can see it fine, but it's not dark at all. So we're going to just follow our guide. This color was our guide. Now we're going to follow that. We don't have to be so persnickety about how slow we go because we already know where to put the paint. We can see it's colored. So we just follow the color. Now, if you don't have any color on your lips, you are going to need to try to follow that lip line again, just like you did the first time, and find it and follow it. Otherwise, if you have color like I do, then you can just put color on top of color. But you want to get the whole lip. You want to make sure you're putting new color on the entire lip. Any part, whoops, and not the face. Any part that you skip or, accidentally don't put any paint on, it's going to look different. And you're not going to like it, probably. You still have to be careful and not get it on the face. And make sure you cover every bit of the lips. But it's not as touchy as it was the first time. I just really took an extreme amount of time doing it the first time because I just wanted it to be super smooth and neat and the entire lip covered, but nothing extra covered, nothing down in the crevices or anything like that. So now this is our second layer, and it's not going to be enough. I can tell you that right now. We are going to have to put at least one more layer, maybe two. But the next layer can be a little bit thicker than this one. But you don't want to put it real thick ever because it can, like I said, it can run and just come right out onto the face and look like they just got punched in the mouth or something and had a bloody mess. Just looks ugly. And so that's his lips and his tongue and the inside of his mouth all painted right there. I'm going to show you. It doesn't look much different. Each layer just adds something. So we're going to lay him down and we're going to do his nails now. Once again, they barely show, see? It's probably because they got wiped with the pink paint. So it's because the surrounding toe's pink too, it doesn't show as much. But we're going to still paint them, and they will be darker than his surrounding toe at the end. I'm going to take my glasses off to see that. These nails are so tiny. I don't know how in the world people can tip nails this tiny. They are just a speck on his toe. Literally a speck. But they are painted, so that's going to help. Right there, that's 1 foot. Now let's get this one. Just carefully paint each and every toe, and well, each and every toenail, that is, not the toes. Too much on the brush. I can see it too much. That's better. If you're getting too much on your brush, you'll be able to tell because the toenail will get drastically darker instead of a little bit darker. And then you'll know, well, that's too much because it's going to run. And it always runs down to the base of the nail, it seems like to me. And it'll be very dark there. And it will look stupid because you can never get the rest of the nail that dark. So tiny. Very delicate work. Fingernails are never that tiny. I don't know why the toenails are so tiny. Especially the pinky one. Sometimes it doesn't even look like there's a nail at all. Oh, crap. I need to dab that a little more. It's just looking a little crusty. Kind of rashy. Don't want that look. There we go. That's better. I hate this bent up hand. It's not just balled up, it's also bent down like that. Makes it a little hard to paint. Because you can't get your paintbrush in there because it's too close to the wrist. Very difficult. Terrible, terrible. I hate this bent up hand. You just can't hardly reach it at all. I can't spread the paint out. Unbelievable. I don't like painting backwards. That's almost what you have to do here is paint backwards. Unbelievable. I keep telling myself all of my efforts will be worth it. Sometimes I don't really believe myself, though. Okay, this one will be easy. It's open. Too dark. Now, when we get finished baking this time, oh, that's very crusty looking. I got to pounce it a little more. We will be ready to put some layers on this baby because we've done all of our enhancements now. But every single layer, we're going to still touch up the nails and the lips until we have them to the color we like. That's at least, I think, 2 more layers. Maybe just 1. I don't know. This is only the 2nd layer. Finger still looks a little bit rashy. Sometimes the paint can just do that. You don't want their fingers to look rashy. You really don't need much paint for this at all. I just barely touch the paintbrush to the paint. You can always get more if you need it, but you start getting too much on there and you have to start pulling it off. Well, that's too much for sure. There we go. I think we've got it. Just a very thin coating. You can still just barely see it. But it will be darker this time. It just won't be extremely dark. Be very mindful of how you lay your parts down on the table. You really shouldn't lay them on the table. You should really put them on your rack. That's what it's for, to dry things on. But I'm just, I don't know, different and weird. Oh, I forgot something on our baby the first time around. I got to sneeze. It's allergy season, and oh, I've got it. Okay, we didn't vein him. I don't think we put a vein on him. No, I don't see a vein. Okay, we're going to give him a vein. I should have done it before I did all this blush, but it'll still be okay. It's not too far above, it'll still be underneath. What we do with the vein is I use a pencil. I keep it a little bit rounded on the point. See that point? It's not very pointy because we don't want a sharp vein. Veins are kind of wide. Look at the ones in your hand or arm or wherever you can see your veins. But we don't want it super fat. Once again, how much you press down is going to determine the darkness and the thinness or the fatness of your vein. Now, I'm going to put one right down his forehead, like right down through here, and I'm going to put one little branch on it. You can put as many branches as you want, or as few branches as you want, or just a squiggly line, or no vein at all. It's all up to you. Now, we want it very squiggly. Veins are not straight. So I'm going to start way up here and get my squiggle all going good before I get down on his forehead where it's going to show. And I mean, it's going to show anywhere you put it, but hair is going to, oops, I just touched his lips. Oh, great. Day in the morning. I'm going to have to do some more lips work. I forgot I had just painted the lips. Maybe I can spread out some of this paint to cover the spot I touched. It's not bad. It just had a little tiny little speck on it. Okay, so I'm just going to take my pencil and I'm going to use a very, very, very light touch. I'm barely going to scrape it across the vinyl, and it's going to be plenty dark, you'll see. You shouldn't even be able to see it on camera, but you will be able to see it, I'm pretty sure. Now I'm going to take my blue sponge and I'm going to rub it a little. I'm just going to lightly rub it until it just sort of beautifully disappears into the background. And now you shouldn't be able to see it. I can still see it, but you shouldn't be able to see it. If you can see blue on camera, they say it is too dark. So it should have either disappeared or almost disappeared. You might be saying, well, I didn't see it in the first place. Well, okay. But now he's got a vein. Now you can put more than one vein if you want to. You can put them on the arms and legs. People put them all over. Some people put multitudes of veins. I just put one on the head because, you know, that's where people who are going to see the veins are going to see them. They're going to go, oh, look, he's got a vein, you know. I think one's enough. Now you can also put capillaries. Capillaries are done with a red pencil. Capillaries are much smaller. They're little tiny arteries, while these are veins. And I don't usually capillary because they don't really enhance the doll. They just don't do anything for the doll. And in fact, they barely show. I mean, if you can even see them at all. But I think he's got all the enhancements now that he needs. He's going to get in for a bake, and when we come back, we're going to start on our colors, and we're going to start putting layers on him. And so, that'll be interesting. But anyway, please remember to like, subscribe, and share, and happy reborn.